Along with Debussy, Igor Stravinsky is one of the most popular and influential musicians of the 20th century, or at least composers of the 20th century. Stravinsky was born in Russia, and throughout his entire career used bits of Russian folk melodies in his writing. The things that made Stravinsky really stand out were his use of polyrhythms and extreme syncopation. And by polyrhythms, we mean at times there might be two separate meters going on simultaneously. For example, the strings could be playing in three, like a 1, 2, 3, 10, 10, 10, while the percussion and horns might be playing in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you had a messed up part of your syncopation or part of your accents every other time through. And it's very unique when you hear it. He also used polytonality, which would mean using 2 keys or more simultaneously. Now, Stravinsky's music does not really sound bad or strange. It's actually quite pretty, and it's been quite influential on the music you hear today. We're going to be listening to one of his ballets called the Rite of Spring. And in that, you will hear a lot of the music that influenced writers like Basil Polydoros, who wrote most of the sword fighting movies of the 80s, like the Conans, A Sword and a Sorcerer, several others like that. It's very much sounds like you could have a fight to it, but it still has a beauty. Now, Stravinsky's primary fame came from his 3 ballets, the Firebird, Petrushka, and the Rite of Spring. The Rite of Spring was so unique in that it really displays a lot of the polyrhythms, but more importantly, he wrote a ballet based on some sort of third world group of people who are worshiping the earth as spring comes around, because they need to grow their crops and so forth. In it, the males fight over the women dance around to try and get the men to be interested in them. There's all kinds of weird things as they, again, try and worship the earth itself. And it ends with one of the maidens being chosen as a sacrifice to the earth. And on stage, she dances herself to death, but in the concept is that she's running from the warriors as they try and kill her to sacrifice her. And this took place in around 1912. That was a little odd for a ballet in 1912. And the first time it was performed, it caused a giant riot. People stormed the stage and were pissed off and wanted their money back. Now it's considered one of the most important ballets to have ever been written. And I really personally don't like ballet too much, but I love the Rite of Spring. So hopefully some of you will find the same thing and you're going to get the chance to watch it. Going back to Stravinsky's other periods, after his ballets, World War II started to, or World War I, started kicking up and the economy was bad. So Stravinsky wrote more normal, we should say neoclassical, meaning return to basic forms, and a little bit of Broadway type music, just very simple music that people could remember so he could sell it and make money. Well, after he'd had enough money, he turned, I don't even remember how old he was. I guess he would have been around 70, 1960-ish kind of period. He started getting really weird, and the music that he wrote then Most people don't know anything about it. It's not really very representative of what Stravinsky gave to the world otherwise. It's more like the John Cage stuff you're going to experience that really doesn't make a lot of sense.